Good day. It's Friday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Just in this afternoon, President Donald Trump speaking out after the Supreme Court ruled many of his sweeping tariffs on countries around the world are not permitted.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long.
Justices in a 6-3 vote ruling this morning that the president does not have the power under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA as it's known, to enact most of those tariffs. The decision leaves in place Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum that were in place using different laws. It also leaves a 25% tariff on some goods from Canada, China, and Mexico for what the administration said was their failure to curb the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. The president does have other avenues to impose certain tariffs, something U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said will happen soon. Just in this afternoon, we're hearing from Representatives Angie Craig and Ilhan Omar after they were allowed inside the federal Whipple building in Minneapolis today.
I'm glad we got in today to be able to see the facility itself. But at the end of the day, this is not the intent of the law. And once again, Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security is violating the law. Now, what we were also told is that there are under 500 ICE agents remaining in Minnesota. That's off of the 3,000 surge that we saw here. There are HSI agents. In addition to that, we were told that they are averaging now only 20 arrests per day.
And today, Vance Belter, the man accused of killing Melissa Hortman and her husband, was back in federal court. Belter's scheduled status hearing was his first court appearance since November. His trial date has not been set yet, but federal prosecutors have indicated that he could face the death penalty if he's convicted. Belter's accused of killing former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman, as we said, and her husband, Mark, and the shooting of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette. Earlier this week, lawmakers honored the Hortmans on the opening day of the new legislative session, passing a joint resolution in their memory. Governor Walz and legislative leaders from both parties delivered remarks. It also marked Senator Hoffman's first day back at the Capitol. He entered the chamber to a standing ovation and says his return is rooted in gratitude, not obligation.
I will not allow that to define us, our lives, or our democracy. What defines us is how we must respond.
A new order from the White House could lead to thousands of legal refugees in the U.S. who do not have green cards to be arrested. A memo filed in federal court in Minnesota says refugees will now have to present themselves to the Department of Homeland Security 1 year after entering the country and remain in custody while their application is reviewed. The memo says if they don't, they could be arrested. The federal government says it's to further vet refugees, but advocacy groups say it breaks trust with people coming to the U.S. for protection. Right now, the Department of Homeland Security says its so-called worst of the worst website was filled with errors. The White House has been using the website to justify sweeping immigration operations, listing about 25,000 people who have been arrested and serious allegations or charges against them. But CNN reports that DHS said charges against hundreds of immigrants on the website were listed incorrectly. CNN says DHS attributed it to a glitch, and that glitch was fixed. Meanwhile, at the Capitol, renewed discussions around addressing fraud in state programs. That includes a key proposal to create a statewide Office of Inspector General. Danny Spiewak now with where that bill stands.
Last session, the Minnesota Senate did something almost unthinkable in politics today. It passed a bipartisan bill, 60-7, that would establish a statewide Office of Inspector General to tackle fraud.
You worked with a Democratic colleague, you passed a bill easily. How did you do that? How did you build those relationships across party lines?
I don't think it was easily because it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a lot of trust had to be built.
Republican Senator Michael Kroon and DFL Senator Heather Gustafson are leading the joint effort in the Senate on the Inspector General proposal. This Inspector General position would be recommended by the legislature and appointed appointed by the governor, with sweeping subpoena and law enforcement power to investigate fraud.
The responsibilities would be statewide, all programs, providers, recipients, and the agents itself to look for fraud.
The Senate is likely to pass this legislation again this session, but the bill's fate in the House, where it failed last year, remains unclear.
Minnesotans deserve a fully funded OIG that can fix this problem.
In committee Thursday, DFL Representative Matt Norris presented an amendment to the Senate version that adjusted the structure of the Inspector General's office and grew the cost. House Republicans say they were blindsided by the changes and refused to support the amendment.
And in Representative Norris's words, this is a wide sweeping, grandiose DE amendment, and we were not consulted.
Still, the idea isn't dead. If the House can work out differences the rest of the session, Governor Walz says he'll sign an Inspector General bill.
And I'm hopeful that the House will put partisan politics aside and send it back, and we can get that passed into law.
This comes as Minneapolis restaurants continue to work through the impact of Operation Metro Surge, with some saying traffic has been cut in half recently. Cynthia Gerda, CEO of Hell's Kitchen, told leaders at the Downtown Council's annual meeting restaurants need help now, saying they're still paying off a COVID-era loan. Gavin Kaysen, chef and owner of several Minneapolis restaurants, says that he sent emails simply asking people to come back and to support local business.
But what am I going to do? Not send it out and then say something after we have to close? That week I had heard from 3 restaurateurs who collectively own 21 restaurants who are finding ways to either get a loan or close their shops. And I think the big message is to get out and support restaurants, get out and support small businesses.
Minneapolis City Council approved $7 million for a relief fund yesterday. Governor Tim Walz proposed a $10 million emergency relief package for small businesses. St. Paul police are asking for help finding a hit-and-run driver who critically injured a woman near the state capitol. In just a 2-week span, 3 pedestrians have been struck within the city. 2 of those victims died. This is video of the car that they are searching for. It's a 2005 to 2007 blue Honda Odyssey. It's a minivan. Our Kent Erdahl spoke to St. Paul police about the investigation.
A security camera on Rice Street in St. Paul captured this video of a light blue Honda Odyssey just seconds after St. Paul police say it struck a 58-year-old woman trying to walk across Pennsylvania Avenue on Monday.
It's very sad.
Police Commander Jeremy Ellison isn't sure if she'll survive.
Unfortunately, she's still in critical condition. My understanding is she still hasn't regained consciousness.
Fortunately, he says this is far from the only video they have of the suspect's vehicle.
We're able to kind of piece together the route that this suspect vehicle was on before the crash and then after the crash.
Police say that the driver was heading eastbound this direction on Pennsylvania when this crash occurred. They then drove into this Holiday gas station, but they didn't stay here for long. They cut straight through the parking lot, took a left onto Como Avenue, and then back south on Rice Street.
We have a ton of people working on this case.
He says they've since found more cameras to track the van east on University Avenue, with more information coming in by the hour.
Investigators that are out on the street, knocking on doors, getting video, talking to anybody who may have a camera in the area. We are going to find this person. It's going to be a lot of work, but I am confident that the people that are working on this are passionate and want to bring closure to the family and the victim and get justice for them.
Kent Erdahl reporting there. Moving on, the former Prince Andrew was arrested and held for hours by British police Thursday on suspicion of misconduct in public office related to his links to Jeffrey Epstein. It's an extraordinary move in the country where authorities once sought to shield the royal family from embarrassment. NBC's Raf Sanchez reports from London.
Former Prince Andrew is out of police custody, but he is not out of legal danger. The King's younger brother held for around 11 hours yesterday after his unprecedented arrest at his home in the east of England. He was released late last night without charge, but police say he remains under investigation on suspicion of misconduct in public office. They haven't released details of those allegations, but the arrest comes just weeks after files released by the Department of Justice show that Andrew appeared to have forwarded Jeffrey Epstein internal British government documents while he was serving as a UK trade envoy. Now, King Charles was not given a heads up about the arrest, according to a palace official, but he did release a statement promising police our full and wholehearted support and cooperation, saying, "Let me state clearly, the law must take its course." The King and Queen both continuing their planned schedule yesterday. We are not expecting to see them today, but this has been the biggest aftershock yet internationally of the Epstein scandal, and it has left the monarchy shaken by the first arrest of a member of the royal family in nearly 400 years. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, London.
If there's a Nissan Rogue in your driveway, listen up. The company's recalling more than 640,000 of them over two separate problems that could cause the engine to lose power. According to Nissan, both problems can be fixed at dealerships. The company will let you know if your vehicle is affected. Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.